is going to guide you to what is you. Think about the 40-second gate. The 40-second gate is about the capacity to complete things. It's about the capacity to be able to complete things, to bring things to an end. Now, the whole thing about bringing things to an end is that obviously you've got to have a beginning. And everything about a sacral being who has the 40-second gate is somebody who is not going to agree to do anything with their sacral energy unless what they're entering into can finish. In other words, they will not enter into something that doesn't have the potential to go through a complete cycle. And they're only going to be available to those who need somebody or need that energy to be committed to completing something through its whole cycle. In other words, if you're a sacral being and you have the 40-second gate, every time you're responding positively to somebody, you're correct, you know, they're asking you, you're responding. Every time you're going, every time you're responding positively, what your sacral is actually doing is, it's saying, look, what you're really saying yes to is, you're saying yes to staying with something and finishing it. And that the only reason you're saying yes is that it's possible to finish this thing. Otherwise, there's no reason to get in there. So if somebody comes up to a sacral being who has the 40-second gate and they're not offering them anything but a beginning, that it doesn't have that quality that the sacral will recognize as being something that can go through a whole cycle, it'll go no. And it's in a situation like this where you see the mind come in. Think about what that's like. You know, you're a sacral being, you're waiting to do something, there's somebody there, they're offering you something, and there's, you know, what they're offering you sounds like a good beginning. After all, you're 42, you need a beginning to get to the end. Sounds like a good beginning, everything sounds right, you know, they respect you, they're offering you money, blah, 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 and your sacral's going, And the mind jumps in and says, wait a minute, what's with this, And the sacral can't answer the mind. It can't. And the mind says, well, you know, this is silly. This is a real chance for us. And if we don't take this chance, we're going to miss it. And so, of course, the first thing they do is that they jump into that the mind rules, and they go into that and they try it, and of course it isn't going to lead to an end. And there's all kinds of problems, and they get very depressed. The 3 sacral gates that point down to the root center, these are gates of potential depression. And the 42nd gate gets deeply depressed when it cannot see the potential to bring things completely through a cycle. Imagine the suffering of sacral beings who are designed to only enter into things that they can complete, and they don't. And think about how their life feels. And think about the frustration because they end up having to quit. If you're a 42nd being and you enter into a relationship, it's forever. That's if you enter into it correctly. And if you don't enter into it correctly, it's not going to be forever at all. And then you're really going to suffer because you're designed to be in it forever. To its completion, to its fulfillment. That doesn't necessarily mean all time. You can have a 7-year relationship that's complete within its cycle. But it is about only entering into what's correct. And it's not a mental decision. It's the way the person's designed. They're designed to attract people as availability. I'm available for long-term projects. I'm available for long-term projects. That's what the sacral's saying. I'm available, but only for long-term projects. And so what do you think they're going to attract? They're going to attract people who come to them and say, hey, look, I got this long-term project for you. And then they can go, You know, in the moment that they don't realize that's them. You know, this power of the sacral to pull, that's what it does. It pulls you to its availability. That's why it's so sexual. You know, it's always, it's pulling you to its availability, saying, I'm available. I avoid 42s. I don't need anything for life. I'm available. You know, and the 42 saying, look, I'm available to do the whole thing, to go the whole way, to go the whole, you know, the whole 9 yards. I'm going to do the whole thing. And you see, if you're really a sacral being and you're not running around looking for that lifelong work and that lifelong lover and that lifelong whatever it is, if you're not looking for it, if you just let your sacral go, I'm available, I'm available, I'm available, I'm available, you'll get it. Not only will you get it, but you see, sacral beings don't know what it's like to get their own terms. As long as they're playing manifestors, they're always compromising, they're always getting a bit of what they want instead of what's right for them. And just because you're a 42 and you're going, I'm available for the long term, I'm available for the long term, it doesn't mean everybody who responds to that, who is attracted to that, is going to offer you specifically what's right for you. It just simply means it's going to be correct, and you're going to get to select, and away you go. It's magic. But you see, until the sacral being recognizes its power, you know, the slave that breaks the chains, you know, until you realize how powerful you are and that whatever your theme is, that's what you're pulling. Always. And to recognize that, and the moment you understand that's what you're doing, you're pulling through those various themes, and you can see who you pull. And you can get your terms. Because you see, when they come to you, I know I'm a manifester. I have to go to everything. I know the power the generators have to go, Oh, I know. They have much greater power than me. I have to go to them. And it's up to them whether they say yes or no. That's a lot of power, you know. I understand that. I wish the hell they would understand that, so that they could see their power and their beauty and the way it works. You are always calling what is correct for you, so stop looking and let it come to you. Think about this quarter where these three gates are. It's the quarter of initiation. And it says that there are three forms of initiation that can truly only come from generators. And one of the first initiations that the generator brings, the 42, is the potential to go through the complete process. The 4253 is the format energy for the life process of humans. And at the very basis of the life process for humanity, to go through correctly the life process, this is the initiation. This is the first sacral initiation. To be able to go through the life process correctly. To be able to complete your existence. In other words, to be able to go through the whole thing and not get to the end and say, you know, it was terrible and it's time to go. To be able to really see that this is the first initiation, the first true initiation, is the recognition that life is something that can be correct, that life does not have to be frustrating, that life is not something that you're always in torment and you always have to quit and you always have to be frustrated, that life is here to be beautiful, that to move through life without resistance is to recognize its perfection. And this is the first initiation of the generator. It says the only way is that you have to go through the whole process. The whole process, but as yourself. These three gates of initiation, the 42, the 3, the 27, these are sacral initiators. They're initiators. And this is where their most powerful potential as builders comes from. That is, when they stop being slaves. That it's through these three themes, in these first three gates of the sacral in this quarter, that they bring real initiation to this planet. Because they bring it in very, very specific themes. The first one we've seen. That is, the generators are designed to be available for the complete process. They're designed for that. You know, that's what they're here to let us know. You know, life is a complete process. You got to go through the whole thing. You got to go through the whole thing correctly. You got to grow up. You got to become mature. You got to make love.